What if I told you the greatest source of wealth you will ever touch is already living inside you, not in the economy, not in your job, not in luck, talent, or timing, inside you, right now, fully active, fully divine, fully capable of building a life beyond anything you've imagined? Most men spend their entire lives searching for power outside themselves, chasing money, chasing approval, chasing opportunities, never realizing the truth. Napoleon Hill discovered a century ago, infinite intelligence does not live above you. It lives through you. And until you awaken this power, until you recognize the God mind within your own mind, you will continue to work harder than you should, struggle longer than you must, and live smaller than you were designed to live, because the secret to think and grow rich was never about willpower, never about grinding, never about luck. It was always about alignment, divine alignment, identity alignment, the alignment between who you think you are and who God already designed you to be. So before we begin, let me tell you the truth. With absolute clarity, you are not separate from the source. You are not waiting for permission to rise. You are not a beggar hoping for blessings. You are a creator carrying the blueprint of greatness. The moment you accept this, even for a second, everything in your life begins to shift. Your decisions change. Your confidence rises. Your energy elevates. Your mind starts speaking the language of wealth. And money, real money, meaningful money, finally knows where to go. Today, we are not learning how to chase wealth. We are learning how to become wealth, how to think with God, how to act with God, how to grow rich through the divine power already breathing inside your chest. Welcome to Think and Grow Rich with the God in you. Now, let's begin. Before you take a single step toward wealth, success, or achievement, you must confront one life-altering truth. Nothing outside of you holds more power than what already lives within you. And until that truth becomes the foundation of your identity, every strategy, every opportunity, and every effort will feel heavier than it needs to be. You were not created empty. You were not designed limited. You were not sent into this world without tools. Inside you is a blueprint, a divine architecture placed there before you took your first breath. Napoleon Hill called this infinite intelligence. Scripture calls it the breath of God. Science calls it the subconscious mind. Different names, same truth. There is a creative force in you that shapes your reality according to the images, beliefs, and expectations you feed it. Most men never activate this force because they mistake themselves for ordinary. They see their failures, their insecurities, their past mistakes, and they assume that is who they are. But identity is not built from the past. Identity is built from truth. And the truth is this: you are a vessel of divine potential, carrying within you the richest resource in existence, consciousness aligned with God. The greatest lie ever told is that God is far away. The second greatest lie is that wealth belongs to a chosen few. The third is that success is earned only through suffering. But look closely at every man who ever built an empire, led a movement, or transformed a generation, from Carnegie to Ford. From Edison to Jobs, they all tapped into the same unseeable force: clarity, conviction, faith, inner vision. The unwavering belief that something greater was guiding them. They were not superhuman. They were simply connected. Your financial life begins to change the moment you stop begging for power and start becoming aware of the power you already have. Because when God lives in you, lack is an illusion. Scarcity is a mindset. Fear is a misalignment, and limitation is nothing more than untrained imagination. You cannot think small and live large. You cannot feel unworthy and receive abundance. You cannot believe you are alone and expect supernatural results. The internal world is the command center of the external world. Your thoughts are blueprints. Your feelings are signals. Your beliefs are contracts you sign with the universe. Every breakthrough in your life will begin internally long before it shows up externally. And this is why the wealthy, the influential, the focused, and the powerful all share one trait. They guard their inner world as if their entire destiny depends on it, because it does. You were designed with the same capability. The God in you is not passive, not silent, not distant. He is a creative force waiting for instruction, waiting for direction, waiting for you to stop looking outside and start commanding from within. The moment you align your mind with that truth, your energy changes, your posture changes, your decisions sharpen, your emotions stabilize, your confidence expands, your vision becomes magnetic. Suddenly, wealth is not something you chase. It becomes something you match through identity, thought, and alignment. This is the divine blueprint. You think with God, you speak with God, you act with God, and through that union, you grow rich in finances, in purpose, in influence, and in peace. You are not a man trying to become powerful. You are a powerful man learning to remember who he is. And now that you understand the blueprint, we move to the next step. If thought creates reality, how do you think in a way that attracts wealth instead of repelling it? Let's go deeper. If there is one law that governs every result in your life, your income, your confidence, your relationships, your opportunities, it is this: you do not get what you want, you get what you are and what you consistently think. This is not poetry. It is not philosophy. It is a law unchanging, uncompromising, universal. Napoleon Hill phrased it with scientific simplicity. The mind is the workshop in which all plans are created. And Scripture reinforces the same truth. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Your thoughts are not random. Your thoughts are instructions. Every thought you allow, repeat, or entertain becomes a silent command to the universe and to your subconscious mind. Build this. Reproduce this. Make this real. This is why men live the same year repeatedly. They think the same thoughts. They feel the same fears. They repeat the same internal dialogue of inadequacy and wonder why their outer world never changes. But wealth is not attracted to wishful thinking. It is attracted to directed thinking thoughts infused with clarity, conviction, purpose, and a sense of divine authority. Think of your mind like fertile soil. Whatever seed you plant, fear or faith, scarcity or abundance, doubt or vision, it will grow. Not because the soil chooses, but because the soil obeys. Your subconscious is the same way. It does not argue. It does not question. It does not judge whether something is good or bad for you. It simply says, if you think it, I will create it. If you repeat it, I will reinforce it. So let me ask you, what have you been instructing your mind to build? What images have you allowed to dominate your imagination? What fears have you fed? What limits have you repeated so many times they now feel like facts? Most people do not suffer from lack of intelligence. They suffer from lack of mental discipline. They allow thoughts of worry to become plans. They allow thoughts of fear to become identity. They allow thoughts of scarcity to become a financial ceiling. And then they say, nothing ever changes. But everything changes the moment you change what you think. Because the mind is not a mirror, it is a projector. It does not reflect your life. It creates it. This is why wealthy men think differently. They think in terms of possibility, not probability. They think in terms of vision, not circumstances. They think in terms of divine partnership, not human limitation. A poor man says, I hope this works. A wealthy man says, I will make this work. One is thinking from fear. The other is thinking from identity. This is the spiritual law of riches. Whatever you hold in the mind with feeling becomes your future with form. When you think with God, when your thoughts align with the intelligence that designed galaxies, your creativity awakens, your confidence stabilizes, and your decisions elevate. Suddenly, you see opportunities that others overlook. You attract people who resonate with your vision. You make choices that match your future, not your past. This is not luck. This is not coincidence. This is alignment. And alignment is predictable. It is repeatable. It is the foundation of every fortune ever built. You do not need to think like a millionaire. You need to think like a man who knows he walks with divine power. When your thoughts carry that energy, that certainty, that connection, the world rearranges itself to match the man you are becoming. Now that you understand the law, the next question is unavoidable. If wealth responds to identity, how do you transform the identity that has been limiting your potential? That is the purpose of Chapter 3. If you want to know why your life looks the way it does today, you don't need to examine your circumstances. You need to examine your identity. Because money does not flow to effort alone. Money does not flow to the desperate. Money does not flow to the insecure, the unclear, or the conflicted. Money flows to identity. Money follows the person you become. This is the most misunderstood truth in the world of success. People try to get rich while still thinking like the version of themselves who struggles. They try to attract abundance while identifying as someone who is trying, hoping, or wishing. But wealth does not respond to hoping. Wealth responds to embodiment. You cannot think poor, feel poor, speak poor, and then expect your bank account to rebel against your identity. Your financial reality is loyal, painfully loyal to the story you believe about yourself. Let me make this unmistakably clear. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You rise or fall to the level of your identity. A man who sees himself as a creator acts differently from a man who sees himself as a survivor. A man who believes he is guided by infinite intelligence takes bolder risks than a man who thinks he is alone. A man who knows he is worthy of wealth notices opportunities the unworthy man walks right past. Identity shapes perception. Perception shapes decisions. Decisions shape destiny. This is why Napoleon Hill said the first step to riches is a burning desire backed by faith. Faith in what? Faith in you, in your power, in your purpose, in the God force within you. But here is the truth most men avoid. Your identity today is not your true identity. It is a construct, a collection of old memories, old fears, old experiences, and old voices from people who didn't know who you really are. You were conditioned to shrink. You were trained to doubt. You were taught to fear your own greatness. And that conditioning became your identity, not because it was true, but because you repeated it long enough for your mind to adopt it as truth. But the real you, the God designed you, is not small. He is not limited. He is not average. He is not here to survive. He is here to create. to expand, to build, to influence. Your job is not to become that man. Your job is to remove the old identity blocking him. Identity shift is not addition. It is subtraction. You do not become wealthy by adding new traits. You become wealthy by releasing the false ones. The moment you stop identifying as the man who struggles, the man who doubts, the man who is unsure, the man who fears money, the man who hides his gift, you create space for the divine identity within you to face, emerge. This is the identity that wealth recognizes. This is the identity opportunities respond to. This is the identity God intended when He breathed life into your lungs. To shift your identity, you must begin speaking differently, acting differently, and walking differently even before the results show up. Why? Because identity precedes manifestation. The internal version must appear first. Then the external world aligns. When you think like the wealthy man, you feel like him, you speak like him, you plan like him, you pray like him, you execute like him, you become him. And when you become him, wealth has no choice. It follows. It flows. It finds you. Because wealth is not a goal, it is a mirror. And it reflects the identity of the man who holds it. Now that you understand identity, the question becomes, how do you activate the faith that empowers this new version of you to rise without hesitation? That is the purpose of Chapter 4. If identity is the blueprint of your future, then belief is the power that brings that blueprint to life. Belief is not a feeling. Belief is not fragile inspiration. Belief is not something you wait to have. Belief is a decision, a deliberate choice to trust the divine intelligence within you more than the limitations around you. Every miracle in your life, every breakthrough, every leap in income, every unexpected opportunity begins with belief. Not belief in luck, not belief in chance, not even belief in someday. Belief in the God force that designed you with purpose and equipped you with the exact gifts required to fulfill that purpose. Napoleon Hill called belief the eternal elixir, the substance that transforms thought into reality. Scripture calls it the evidence of things not seen. Psychology calls it self-efficacy. Neuroscience calls it cognitive bias formation. Different languages, one truth. The world rearranges itself to match what you believe is possible. But here is the part most people never understand. You are always believing something. The question is not, do you have belief? The question is, have you aimed your belief in the right direction? Because belief is a creative force. If you believe you are not ready, you create hesitation. If you believe you are unworthy, you create sabotage. If you believe success is for other people, you create distance between you and your calling. Belief is always working, whether you use it consciously or not. It is like spiritual electricity, neutral until directed. Your life is not shaped by what is true. Your life is shaped by what you believe is true. Two men with the same skill, the same opportunity, the same knowledge will produce completely different results based solely on the belief they hold about themselves. One moves boldly because he believes he is supported. The other hesitates because he believes he is alone. One takes the risk because he believes God is guiding him. The other waits for reassurance that never comes. One builds momentum. The other builds excuses. And the difference is not talent. The difference is belief. Let me make this plain. Belief is not the reward of evidence. Belief is the generator of evidence. You do not wait to believe until you see results. You believe until the results appear. This is how divine creation works. This is how your subconscious mind works. This is how wealth works. Every man who changed his life began believing long before anyone else understood his vision. Ford believed in the automobile when others believed in the horse. Edison believed in the light bulb after 1,000 failures. Barnes believed he would become Edison's partner with no money, no education, and no credentials. Belief was their gateway. Belief was their advantage. Belief was their creative force. So, what about you? What do you believe when no one is watching? What do you believe about your potential, about your future, about the God force inside you? You cannot lie to yourself here. Your results always reveal your real beliefs. If your results are small, your beliefs are small. If your results are inconsistent, your beliefs are inconsistent. If your results are growing, your beliefs are expanding. But here is the good news. Beliefs can be rebuilt. Beliefs can be rewritten. Beliefs can be weaponized. Belief grows when you feed it with repetition, evidence, visualization, and aligned action. Belief strengthens when you silence the noise and listen to the truth within. Belief expands when you ignore fear long enough for faith to take root. And once belief activates fully, deeply, consistently, your life begins moving with supernatural precision. Doors open, ideas flow, people appear, opportunities multiply, wealth responds. Not because God suddenly notices you, but because you finally aligned with the power He placed inside you. Now that belief is awakened. We move to the next essential step. How do you discipline your mind so it stops producing internal poverty and begins producing external prosperity? That is the purpose of Chapter 5. If belief is the engine, then mental discipline is the steering wheel. Without discipline, belief has no direction. Without discipline, your thoughts wander back into fear, scarcity, and the patterns that once held you hostage. Most men lose the battle for wealth long before they see their first opportunity. Not because they lack intelligence, not because they lack talent, but because they never learned to govern their thoughts. The mind, left untrained, defaults to survival. It drifts toward fear. It clings to limitations. It magnifies problems. It repeats old narratives as if they were eternal truths. But a disciplined mind is a weapon. A disciplined mind is a magnet. A disciplined mind creates wealth long before money ever shows up. Napoleon Hill wrote, "Control your mind, and you control your destiny." Scripture echoes the same truth. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Transformation does not begin with money. It begins with mental mastery, the art of choosing your thoughts with precision, consistency, and spiritual authority. Let me make this clear. Poverty is not first a financial condition. Poverty is a mental habit. It is the habit of expecting little, the habit of assuming limitation, the habit of rehearsing fear, the habit of believing small. You can remove poverty from your bank account, but if you do not remove it from your mind, it will return. This is why lottery winners go broke, why high earners stay stressed, why men with opportunity sabotage themselves again and again. Your external life will always bow to your internal patterns. So how do you break internal poverty? How do you discipline the mind so thoroughly that wealth becomes the natural result? Let's walk through the pillars of mental discipline, thought awareness, catching the thief at the door you cannot change. A thought you do not notice. Most people operate on mental autopilot, replaying the same fears, doubts, and limitations without ever questioning them. Awareness is the first act of liberation. When you observe a thought, you take power away from it. You become the master, not the victim. thought replacement, installing wealth patterns. The mind hates a vacuum. You cannot simply delete fear, you must replace it. Replace I can't with I will find a way. Replace this is hard with this is preparing me. Replace I'm not ready with I am being equipped. These statements are not motivational fluff. They are neural commands, instructions that rewire the subconscious. Emotional discipline training your inner weather. Your emotions are tied directly to your thoughts. If you do not discipline your emotions, your thoughts become unstable. If your thoughts are unstable, your decisions become chaotic. The wealthy man does not allow feelings to dictate his destiny. He allows principle to dictate it. He chooses action even when motivation is nowhere to be found. Mental environment protecting your inner sanctuary. The mind becomes what it consumes. Every voice you hear, every video you watch, every conversation you entertain is a seed. You cannot grow abundance while feeding on negativity. You cannot build wealth while listening to people who fear it. You cannot strengthen faith while drowning in noise. Your mind requires a clean atmosphere, a protected territory, a sacred space where greatness can breathe. Repetition, the mother of mastery. Your subconscious mind does not respond to passion. It responds to repetition. Not what you say once, what you say daily. Not what you feel briefly. What you train consistently. This is why affirmations, visualization, journaling, and prayer reshape your inner world. They program the divine technology inside you. Mental discipline is not about perfection. It is about alignment. It is about removing the internal resistance that blocks the God force within you from expressing itself fully. When your mind becomes disciplined, you stop fighting yourself. Your thoughts support your vision. Your emotions fuel your purpose. Your habits follow your intention. And suddenly, the path ahead becomes clear, which leads us to the next essential step. If clarity is the engine of creation, how do you define your vision so precisely that your future has no choice but to obey? That is the purpose of Chapter 6. If belief is the power and discipline is the structure, then clarity is the command. Clarity tells the universe where to aim. Clarity tells your mind what to build. Clarity tells your identity how to behave. Without clarity, even strong faith becomes unfocused. Without clarity, even disciplined action becomes scattered. Without clarity, even divine potential remains dormant. Let me tell you an uncomfortable truth. Most men are not suffering from lack of opportunity. Most men are suffering from lack of direction. They want success, but cannot define it. They want more money, but cannot name the amount. They want a better life, but have no picture of what that life actually looks like. And the universe does not respond to vague desires. The mind does not respond to fog. Infinite intelligence does not multiply uncertainty. Napoleon Hill said it plainly. A definite purpose is the starting point of all achievement. Scripture agrees. Write the vision and make it plain. If you cannot make it plain, you cannot make it real. Clarity is spiritual. Clarity is psychological. Clarity is magnetic. Your subconscious mind is a builder. It takes orders, but it cannot build what you cannot articulate. It cannot create what you cannot see. It cannot attract what you cannot define. Clarity is the language of creation. When you say, I want to be rich, your mind has nothing to work with. But when you say, I am building a $10,000 a month income stream through the skills God gave me, your mind receives coordinates. Your energy aligns. Your decisions sharpen. Your actions gain weight. Clarity transforms desire into direction. Why men avoid clarity? Clarity feels dangerous to the undisciplined mind. Why? Because clarity eliminates excuses. When your goal is vague, failure is vague. When your target is specific, so is your responsibility. Men fear clarity because clarity demands accountability, strategy, consistency, and courage. But clarity is not pressure. Clarity is liberation. It frees you from confusion. It frees you from comparison. It frees you from wasted effort. It frees you from the illusion that you are lost. You were never lost. You were simply undefined. Clarity comes from three sources. 1, identity. Who are you becoming? You must define the man you are stepping into, not the man you were, not the man others expect you to be, but the man God designed you to become. Ask yourself, what qualities must I embody to build the life I desire? Confidence, discipline, courage, focus, generosity. Your identity directs your destiny. 2, desire. What do you truly want? Not the watered-down version, not the socially acceptable version, the real one. What income do you want? What lifestyle? What impact? What legacy? Specificity is power. 3, vision. Where are you going? Your mind needs an image, a picture, a blueprint. Close your eyes. See the home. See the work. See the body language of your future self. See the level of peace you walk in. See the influence you carry. If you cannot see it internally, you cannot step into it externally. Clarity must be written what you write. You make real. Written clarity is a covenant with your future self. It is a declaration to God, to the universe, and to your subconscious mind. This is who I am. This is where I'm going, and this is what I will create. Write it like law. Write it with certainty. Write it with identity, not hope. Because the man with clarity becomes unstoppable. He wastes nothing, not time, not energy, not thought. He moves with intention. He speaks with precision. He acts with conviction. Clarity is your compass. And with a compass, wealth has no choice but to follow. Now that you have clarity, the next question is simple. How do you activate your mind so powerfully that your future feels inevitable? The answer lies in the spiritual technology of visualization. That is the purpose of Chapter 7. Before anything appears in your hands, it must first appear in your mind. Before you live a new life externally, you must live it internally. Before you experience abundance physically, you must experience it spiritually. This is the forgotten technology behind every great achievement. Visualization is not imagination. Visualization is instruction. It is the process through which you speak to your subconscious mind, activate infinite intelligence, and issue a divine command. Build this. Napoleon Hill devoted entire chapters to this principle. Every world-class performer, from athletes to inventors to entrepreneurs, has used it, and Scripture supports it with unshakable clarity. Write the vision, make it plain, though it tarry. Wait for it. It will not fail. Why is visualization so powerful? Because the subconscious mind does not understand the difference between what is real and what is vividly imagined. When you visualize with intensity, your subconscious treats the vision as truth and begins reorganizing your thoughts, habits, emotions, and opportunities to match it. Visualization is reality rehearsal. It is spiritual preparation. It is wealth construction from the inside out. The brain believes what you repeat. Neuroscience tells us this. Your brain builds pathways based on repetition. not reality. If you repeatedly visualize yourself as wealthy, confident, focused, generous, disciplined, your brain begins to adopt that identity. This is not fantasy. This is neuroplasticity, the reshaping of your mental architecture. Where your mind goes, your life follows. This is why poor thinking produces poor living. Not because God withholds anything, but because the mind cannot produce a reality it has never rehearsed. Visualization must be vivid. Weak visualization creates weak results. Strong visualization creates strong results. When you visualize your future life, you must include images. What do you see? Emotions. How does it feel to already have the life you desire? Identity. Who are you in that future? Environment. Where do you live? Work. And create behavior. How do you think? Walk. And speak, the clearer the image. The faster the subconscious accepts it as reality. And once it accepts it, manifestation becomes a matter of time, not luck. Why? Visualization is a spiritual discipline. Visualization is not merely psychological. It is deeply spiritual. When you visualize with clarity, intensity, and belief, you are aligning your inner world with the blueprint God designed for you. You are tuning your mind to the frequency of abundance. You are sending a signal into the unseen realm. Prepare the path. I am becoming the man worthy of this destiny. Heaven responds to identity. The universe responds to alignment. Wealth responds to clarity. Visualization is the moment where all three unify. Visualization changes your behavior automatically. You don't have to force discipline when your mind is already living in your future. You don't have to push yourself to take action when your subconscious believes success is inevitable. You don't have to fake confidence when you've already seen yourself as the man God intended. Visualization rewires how you speak, how you negotiate, how you handle money, how you respond to adversity, how you make decisions. It is impossible to visualize consistently at a high level and continue living at a low one. Your actions rise to match your internal identity. Visualization is a daily ritual, not once, not occasionally, daily. Just as you feed the body, you must feed the mind with images of the life you are building. 5 minutes of clear visualization each morning can reshape your entire destiny. This is why the wealthy, the influential, and the spiritually aligned never skip this practice. It is the gym of the mind, the altar of the future, the workshop of creation. Now that your inner world is taking shape, we must address the next critical principle. If you are becoming this new man, you must learn the power of divine decision and unstoppable persistence, because nothing activates your future faster than acting like it's already yours. That is the purpose of Chapter 8. If clarity shapes your vision and belief fuels your identity, then decision is the moment everything becomes real. Decision is the point where thought transforms into destiny. It is the spiritual trigger that tells the universe, I am no longer the man I used to be. Most men never rise, not because they lack talent or opportunity, but because they never decide. They prefer the illusion of potential over the weight of commitment. They wait for timing, for confidence, for permission, never realizing that confidence comes after decision, not before it. Napoleon Hill wrote, "Successful men make decisions quickly and change them slowly." Why? Because a delayed decision is a decision to remain the same. Because hesitation is the language of fear, not faith. Because indecision is the silent assassin of destiny. And spiritually, Indecision is even more dangerous. A double-minded man cannot receive the blessings designed for the man who is all in. When you hesitate, you send a fractured signal to the universe. When you delay, you leak momentum. When you second guess, you interrupt the flow of infinite intelligence. Nothing moves until you move. Heaven does not respond to confusion. It responds to conviction. Decision is a declaration of identity. A true decision is not simply choosing an action. It is choosing a version of yourself. When you decide, I will build this business, you are also deciding, I am the man who builds. When you decide, I will become wealthy, you are deciding, I am worthy of wealth. When you decide, I will rise, you are deciding, I will no longer live as the man fear has created. Decision is self-creation. Decision is identity sculpting. Decision is spiritual alignment. And once the decision is made, everything else becomes a matter of execution. But decision alone is not enough. Persistence is the proof. Persistence is spiritual loyalty. It is your oath to the destiny you have chosen. It is the refusal to surrender your future just because the present feels inconvenient. Persistence is the energy that tells God, I will not abandon what you put inside me. And persistence is the energy that tells the universe, I am not available for mediocrity. Most men quit not because they are incapable, but because they were never committed. They knock once on the door of destiny, and when it doesn't open instantly, they walk away. But the persistent man, the man who keeps knocking, the man who keeps moving, the man who keeps aligning with his purpose even in silence and resistance, that man becomes unstoppable. Why? Because persistence builds spiritual stamina. Because persistence builds internal strength. Because persistence trains you to operate from faith, not feelings. The man who persists becomes a match for his blessings. Resistance is confirmation, not rejection. Most people misinterpret obstacles. They think challenges mean stop. They think delays mean denial. They think rejection means unworthiness. But spiritually, resistance is none of those things. Resistance is refinement. Resistance is preparation. Resistance is proof that you are moving in the right direction. There is no diamond without pressure, no muscle without strain, no destiny without testing. You are not being blocked. You are being built. Persistence transforms struggle into strength. Decision transforms fear into focus. Together, they create an unstoppable combination, a man who is divinely aligned, spiritually anchored, and mentally unbreakable. Commitment activates divine support. When you commit fully, something supernatural happens. Ideas flow faster. Resources appear unexpectedly. People show up who you didn't know you needed. Opportunities align with your path. This is not coincidence. This is divine coordination. A man who is committed is a man who can be trusted with influence, impact, and abundance. When God sees your persistence, He multiplies your progress. When the universe sees your decision, it rearranges itself to support your direction. This is the law. Decide who you are. Act on that decision. Persist until reality bows to your identity. Now that you understand decision and persistence, you are ready for the next step, embracing wealth as a calling, responsibility, and spiritual assignment. That is the purpose of Chapter 9. If you truly desire to grow rich with the God in you, you must confront a truth that many men never reach. Wealth is not a reward. Wealth is a responsibility. Wealth is not something you get. It is something you must carry. And only a transformed man can carry it well. Most people treat money like a miracle lottery ticket, hoping it will fix their fears, erase their mistakes, or elevate their status. But wealth does not fix who you are. Wealth amplifies who you are. If you are disciplined, money multiplies your discipline. If you are generous, money multiplies your impact. If you are creative, money multiplies your ideas. But if you are unorganized, money magnifies the chaos. If you are fearful, money enlarges the fear. If you are small inside, money exposes the smallness. This is why God does not give wealth to the man who is unprepared internally. Not because he is punishing him, but because the unprepared man would be destroyed by the very thing he prayed for. So understand this clearly. Wealth cannot belong to the man who thinks like a beggar. Wealth belongs to the man who thinks like a builder. A beggar asks, "What can I get?" A builder asks, "What can I create?" A beggar hopes for opportunities. A builder produces them. A beggar waits for conditions to improve. A builder improves the conditions. A beggar blames circumstances. A builder masters them. This shift from getting to creating, from asking to producing, from hoping to building is the spiritual maturity required to hold divine wealth. The builder thinks in systems, not survival. A poor man thinks day to day. A rich man thinks decade to decade. A poor man chases income. A rich man builds infrastructure. A poor man consumes. A rich man multiplies. Financial chaos is always the result of a man who lives without structure. Financial overflow is always the result of a man who builds systems, systems of discipline, systems of generosity, systems of value creation, systems of consistent action. The God in you is not random. He is intentional, precise, orderly, strategic. Creation itself is a system. Wealth is a system. Legacy is a system. And you must become a man of systems. Wealth comes from solving problems. If you want to understand money, stop thinking emotionally and start thinking structurally. Money is the reward for solving pain. Money flows to solutions. Money finds the man who makes life better for others. Every business is a solution. Every paycheck is compensation for value created. Every fortune on earth came from solving a problem others could not or would not solve. When you adopt the builder's mindset, you stop asking, "How can I make money?" and you begin asking, "What problem am I uniquely called to solve?" Because your calling carries your compensation. Solve small problems, earn small rewards. Solve big problems, earn big rewards. Solve recurring problems, earn recurring wealth. This is divine economics. The righteous man must become rich. You were conditioned to believe wealth is dangerous. That wanting more is greedy. That desiring abundance is selfish. But here is the truth. When wicked men become rich, the world becomes darker. When righteous men become rich, the world becomes better. Your wealth feeds families. Your wealth funds missions, movements, and ideas. Your wealth builds schools, opportunities, and legacies. Your wealth becomes a shield for your children and a light to your generation. It is not unholy to become wealthy. It is unholy to bury your potential. It is not sinful to pursue abundance. It is sinful to ignore the gifts God placed inside you. A righteous man who becomes rich magnifies the goodness of God through his stewardship, his wisdom, his generosity, and his impact. This is why you must rise, not for ego, for responsibility. The builder leaves an imprint, not just an income. A poor man leaves bills. A wealthy man leaves blueprints. A God-aligned man leaves legacies. Your wealth is not just about the money you earn. It is about the person you become while earning it stronger, wiser, more generous, more disciplined, more aligned with purpose. You are not here to escape poverty. You are here to elevate humanity. But to do that, you must first elevate yourself, which leads to the next step. How do you develop the environment, atmosphere, and inner circle required for your wealth to grow without restriction? That is the purpose of Chapter 10. You now understand the divine blueprint. You recognize the law of thought. You have shifted your identity, activated belief, disciplined your mind, defined your vision, visualized your future, made your decision, and embraced your responsibility as a builder. But here is the final truth most men never learn. Wealth is not created in one moment. Wealth is created through one momentum. And momentum comes from ritual, from the daily practices that keep your mind aligned with God, your emotions aligned with purpose, and your actions aligned with destiny. Because even the strongest man drifts without discipline. Even the most spiritual man collapses without structure. Even the most gifted man fails without consistency. This chapter is the bridge between who you have become and who you are destined to remain. These are the rituals of a man who walks in abundance. Begin each morning in silence and intention before the world speaks into your mind. You must speak into your world. A wealthy life cannot grow in a noisy mind. You must begin your day with stillness breathing, listening, aligning. In silence, you hear the God within. In silence, you receive instruction. In silence, you access infinite intelligence. Then you set intention. This is who I am today. This is what I will create. This is how I will show up. A man with intention becomes a magnet for momentum. Declare your identity out loud. Your subconscious mind responds powerfully to your voice. Each morning, declare, I am wealthy because I walk with infinite intelligence. I am disciplined, focused, and unshakable. I create solutions. I attract opportunities. I multiply value. I move with purpose and God moves with me. These declarations are not motivational. They are programming instructions. You are rewiring your internal system to match the wealth you are building. Visualize your desired future as present reality. 5 minutes of vivid, emotional visualization can reshape your day. See your income. See your lifestyle. See your confidence. See your influence. See the man God is molding you into. When you see internally what others cannot see, you create externally what others cannot create. Visualization is spiritual practice, psychological mastery, and wealth engineering. Take one high-value action before noon. Momentum dies in procrastination. So each morning, before noon, complete one action that moves your purpose forward. Send the proposal. Study the skill. Record the content. Reach out to the partner. Build the system. Follow through on your plan. Wealth grows through iteration, not intention. Action is the oxygen of purpose. Protect your atmosphere ruthlessly. Your atmosphere is your incubator. What surrounds you shapes you. You cannot build wealth in an environment of negativity. You cannot stay aligned in conversations filled with fear. You cannot rise while people around you worship limitation. Protect your peace. Protect your energy. Protect your mind. The God in you cannot flourish in a polluted atmosphere. End each day with gratitude and review. Gratitude is the frequency of abundance. It signals to your subconscious, I have more than enough. I can handle more. I am ready for more. Then review your day. What did you accomplish? What did you learn? Where did you align? Where did you drift? Daily review creates calibration. Calibration creates mastery. Mastery creates unstoppable momentum. Repeat tomorrow because wealth is a rhythm. These habits, done consistently, anchor you in identity, in purpose, and in God. Without them, you drift. With them, you ascend. This is the lifestyle of a man who grows rich from within, a man who does not chase abundance but resonates with it. When your daily rhythm aligns with divine law, your life cannot stay small. Your results cannot stay average. Your potential cannot stay dormant. You become inevitable, and wealth flows to the man who is inevitable. My friend, if you feel something rising inside you right now that is not motivation, that is not hype, that is confirmation that the God within you has been waiting for this exact moment, waiting for you to stop chasing the world and start awakening the world inside you. You are not a man hoping for blessings. You are a man designed to become the blessing. You are not here to survive. You are here to build. You are here to influence. You are here to rise, and everything you need, every idea, every opportunity, every door is already encoded within you. But God does not reward hesitation. He rewards decision. He rewards faith in motion. He rewards the man who dares to use what he was given. So hear me clearly. The moment you decide who you are, the universe decides what belongs to you. You are stepping out of fear. You are stepping out of small thinking. You are stepping out of doubt, guilt, and hesitation. And you are stepping into identity, clarity, purpose, power, and divine alignment. This is the version of you the world has been waiting for. Now, if today's message awakened something in you, if it stirred your spirit, if it reminded you of the greatness you carry, then don't just feel it. Follow it. Hit like if this message spoke to your spirit. It tells YouTube to send this wisdom to more people who need it. Subscribe to Hill Mindset Legacy. Every video here is a blueprint, a spark, a shift that trains your mind to think richer, live bolder, and rise higher. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next activation that could change your life. Comment below, I rise with the God within me. Say it boldly. Say it publicly. Say it as your first declaration of the new identity you are stepping into. My friend, your future is not far away. It begins the moment you decide. Walk with God. Think with God. Build with God, and you will grow rich in ways no bank account can measure.